Hi guys. I just wanted to kind of give you an update about my life and what's going on over here in Worcester with me and my husband. Um, due to the governor's order, what was it, Sunday, my husband is now going to be working from home with me. So you might get to see him or hear him. Um, the dog and the cat are obviously still here. But it's the four of us kind of hanging out in our house together now. Thankfully, we have Animal Crossing to keep us sane. A little bit of weird news that I didn't think I'd get to tell you guys. Um, we found out that yesterday my sister has been directly exposed to somebody with COVID-19, and she is now officially in quarantine because of that. She was exposed about a week ago, so she's got about a week left. She hasn't displayed any symptoms yet, but she did directly connect with somebody who later was found to have it. Unfortunately, our family did not know that getting together on last Thursday, and so now we are also all in quarantine as well. My sister is a wonderful soul, and a woman came into her hospital and needed to be comforted. She was very scared, and so my sister held her hand, not knowing that she would later that the woman would later test positive for COVID-19. And so she found out, I think it was like Sunday night maybe, and she thought it was just through secondary transfer. However, she found out later that another patient she had interacted with was directly, interacted with directly, has now tested positive as well. And so our whole family's just kind of hanging out now. We're all hanging out in our houses because we can't really go anywhere. so just kind of keep us all in your thoughts. We're going to be checking our temperatures and monitoring any symptoms that might show up daily. But I imagine we're going to be fine. Like I said, it's been a week. She hasn't shown any symptoms, but you never know. And they're expecting the majority of us will get it and maybe not even realize we have it or anything like that. But the whole point of telling you wasn't to scare you, but some of you said that if I got it, I should monitor you, I should update you daily. So I don't have it, but there's a chance that I might get it due to an interaction with my own family. So just be super careful. Make sure you're being vigilant about washing your hands, trying not to touch your face. Be careful about who you interact with. It's really hard to stay isolated, but I promise what is going to come out of all this is hopefully we'll stop the spread and that people will be okay. All right. So Maggie has decided she would like to hang out with us now. Say hi, Maggie. She looks thrilled. We're going to be starting up Act 3, Scene 1 again today. We started it yesterday. Caesar is now dead. The people of Rome are freaking out. They just watched a bunch of people murder their future king, potentially. And so it's kind of a weird time. And Brutus ran for the hills. My cat and dog are wrestling outside my window. Or outside my door. And so we're kind of left with people being really scared of what they've just seen. Antony has fled, which was Caesar's right-hand man, and Brutus and Cassius are left to kind of deal with the choice that they have made here. So we're going to head straight back into it. I'm going to switch over our scene and pull up the what we're going to be doing. All right, so here we go. All right. So where we last left off, Cassius and Brutus are trying to figure out what this all means, and Antony would like to come talk to them. Whoops! I think I got ahead of myself here. All right. Cassius is wondering where Antony is. Remember, Cassius initially wanted to kill Antony. Oh, I need to set a timer. I'll get away from myself. Set a timer for 20 minutes. All right, and so Cassius is trying to figure out. Cassius is trying to figure out where Antony went, and he's like, "Let's do this. Let's try to get people of Rome to understand what we've done." All right. So we're going to be down. Oh, I need to enable one more thing. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to start over here today. It's going to be where Cassius and Trebonius and even Casca and Brutus are all going to be talking. We should have gotten through question 5 yesterday, so we're going to be starting through 6. I'll pull those up for you guys just a little bit more. All right, so Cassius says, "Where is Antony?" Trebonius says, "Fled to his house amazed. Men, wives, children stare out, cry out, and as though it were doomsday." All right, and so Antony ran away. He's like, "I literally just watched them murder a friend of mine. I can't be here." Hi, Maggie. He's like, "I need to go." And then literally everybody else in the town is doing the same thing. They're like freaking out. They're acting as though it's doomsday. It's the apocalypse, And Brutus is like, "Fates, we will know your pleasures. That we shall die, we know. 'Tis but the time and drawing days out that men stand upon." He's like, these are big days ahead of us. And someday we may die for the choice we made here. Remember, Brutus always wants what's best for Rome. And so he believes that by murdering Caesar, that is the best thing for Rome. All right. Casca says, "Why, he that cuts off 20 years of life cuts off so many years of fearing death." They're like, basically, Caesar wasn't afraid of death, and they took care of that. Brutus says, "Grant that, then death is a benefit. So here we are, Caesar's friends that have abridged his time in fearing death." Okay. "Stoop, Romans, stoop, and let us bathe our hands in Caesar's blood." This is like the last thing I would want to do. "And then walk up to the elbows, besmear our swords, and then walk we forth even to the marketplace, and waving our red weapons over our heads, let us all cry peace, freedom, and liberty." So literally they've murdered him. And then they instruct each other to bathe their hands and arms in his blood, and then take the swords or the knives they just used to stab Caesar and wipe his blood on those two. They want everybody to know that they're the ones that have delivered, Rome from tyranny. So Cassius is like, "Stoop then and wash." They smear their hands with swords at Caesar's blood. "How many ages hence shall our lofty scene be acted over in states unborn, accents yet unknown?" He's like, we are going to be heroes. They're going to make plays about us. They're going to tell our story, our choice. He thinks they will be infamous, famous. All right. And Brutus says, "How many times shall Caesar bleed in sport, that now on Pompey's basis lies along, no worthier than the dust?" All right. And he's like, he got what was coming to him. He slew Pompey, or he defeated Pompey, so we defeated Caesar. And Cassius says, "So oft that shall be, so often shall the not of us be called liberty. The men that gave their country liberty." He's like, we have freed Rome. We have freed Italy. And Cassius says, "Aye, every man away, Brutus shall lead, and we with his grace at his heels, with the most boldest and best hearts of Rome." He's like, we are the best men in this country. And he's like, so we are amazing. A servant enters to approach Brutus, and Brutus says, "Soft, who comes? A friend of Antony's?" And the servant kneels before them, and he says, "Thus Brutus did my master bid me kneel. Thus did Mark Antony bid me fall down, and being prostrate," which means to lay in a subservient manner. "Thus he bade me say, Brutus noble and valiant and honest. Caesar was mighty, bold, royal, and loving." Okay, so he compliments both of them. "Say I loved Brutus and that I honor him. Say I feared Caesar, honored him, and loved him." He's like, I love you both. I loved Caesar too. "And if Brutus will vouchsafe that Antony may safely come to him and be so resolved, how Caesar hath deserved to lie in death, so well as Brutus living will follow the fortunes and affairs of noble Brutus through the hazards of this untrod state. With all true faith, so says my master, Antony." So Antony wants to come and talk to the conspirators to figure out what in the heck is going on and why they just murdered Caesar. He wasn't involved in their conspiracy, obviously, because ultimately they were going to kill him too, but they decided against it. Because they really wanted Brutus on their side, and Brutus said not to. And Brutus says, "Thy master is wise and valiant Roman. I never thought him worse. Tell him so, please come to this place. He shall be satisfied, and by my honor departed untouched." Basically, Brutus is like, we cool. Don't worry about it. And the servant says, "I shall fetch him presently." And the servant exits. And Brutus says, "I know we shall have him well to a friend." He's like, maybe we can get him on our side if he understands. And Cassius says, "I wish we may, but yet I have a mind that fears him much, and misgivings still fall shrewdly to the purpose." So Cassius doesn't trust why Antony wants to come speak to them. And so now we're starting to see kind of a split between the two, okay? Brutus and Cassius, although aligned in their purpose, Cassius because he hates Caesar, Brutus because he wants what's best for him, started out the divide early on. They both murdered Caesar, which makes them together, but ultimately they will kind of split down the middle. There will be issues between them. I think 6. Number 6 can be explained in a multitude of ways. One of the big ones is that they believe that they are freeing Rome from tyranny, which we've already talked about. We're going to come to one other way, but we'll get there. All right. Brutus greets Antony. He says, "But here comes Antony. Welcome, Mark Antony." Okay. And Antony says, "O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low?" He's sad for his friend. He's like, you're dead. Are thy conquest glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? He's like, all this greatness, and it's now dead. Fare thee well. I know not, gentlemen, what you intend, but who else must be let blood, and who else is rank? If I myself, there is no hour so fit as the Caesar's death hour, nor no instrument of half that worth as those your words made rich with the most noble blood of all of this world. I do beseech you, if you bear me hard, now, whilst your purpled hands do reek and smoke, shall your pleasure like live 1,000 years. I shall not find myself so apt to die. No place will please me so, no mean of death. Antony's like, you killed Caesar. If you have a plan to kill me too, you can. He's like, I'm not going to fight you here. He's like, I'm willing to die alongside Caesar. I mean, that is how loyal Caesar is, or Antony is to Caesar. And I think we see this loyalty play out in a few other places. Cassius's loyalty to his own cause specifically. Cassius says on multiple accounts that he is willing to die for this. All right. And so if you wanted to, you could answer number 7 here. He says of two last lines, as here by Caesar and you by you cut off the choice and master spirits of the age. And then Brutus is like, oh, Antony, beg us not for your death, though we must appear bloody and cruel. He's like, I know we look bad. I know this looked real bad. He's like, as by our hands and this our present act, you see we do, yet see but our hands. And this is the bleeding business that have done. Our hearts you see not. They are pitiful, and pity is the general wrong of Rome. As fire drives out fire, so pity hath done this deed on Caesar. For your part, to our own swords have led in points. Mark Antony, our arms and strength of malice, and our hearts of brother's temper do you receive with all kind good thoughts and reverence. Okay, once again, they're saying that they did this for the best of Rome. Okay, you see our bleeding hands, but you see our hearts. Our hearts pitied Rome, and so we took care of the thing that made us sad for Rome. We killed Caesar. Cassius says, your voice shall be as strong as any man in disposing of new dignities. Brutus says, only be patient till we have appeased the multitude besides themselves with fear, and then we deliver you the cause why I, that did love Caesar when it struck him, have thus proceeded. Okay, and so once again, Brutus says he will tell Antony why they chose to do this. And then I love this next moment with Antony. It alludes to another question that's coming later, but Antony says, I doubt not your wisdom. Let each man render me his bloody hand. So he goes around and he shakes the hand of each man that killed Caesar. He's like, first Marcus Brutus, will I shake with you? Next Caius Cassius, that I do shake with you. Now Decius Brutus, yours. Now yours Metellus, yours Cinna, my valiant Casca, yours. Though last not least, yours good Trebonius. Gentlemen all asked, what shall I say? My credit now stands on such slippery ground that one of 2 ways must you conceit me. He's like, I don't know which way this is going to go. He says, either a coward or a flatterer. And this is Antony still talking. He's like, I'm going to either be looked at as a coward or a flatterer. That I did love Caesar, it's true. If then my spirit look upon us now, shall it not grieve thee dearer than thy death? To see thy Antony making his peace, shaking bloody fingers at thy foes, most noble in the presence of thy corpse. He's like, Caesar, please forgive me for shaking the hands of the men who killed you. Had I as many eyes as last wounds, weeping as last as they stream forth thy blood, it would come better than so close in terms of friendship with thine enemies. Pardon me, Julius. Here wast thou bade, brave heart. Here didst thou fall, and here where thy hunters stand, signed in thy spoiled and crimson in thy leave. O world, thou wast the forest of this heart. Heart means deer, so the forest to the deer. O world, and this indeed, O world, the heart of thee, how like a deer strucken by many princes dost thou lie here. He's like, you've been murdered or hunted like an animal, Caesar. He's like, I'm so sorry that this is how it is. And Cassius is like, I need to take care of this. He's like, Mark Antony. And Antony's like, pardon me, Caius Cassius, the enemies of Caesar shall say this. Then in a friend it is cold modesty. And Cassius says, I blame you not for praising Caesar. So he's like, I understand why you feel this way. Hi, Maggie. Will you be pricked in number of our friends, or shall we not depend on you? He's like, are you going to get on our side as to why we chose to do this, or can we not count on you here? And so I'm like right here if you're following along. All right. Antony, therefore I took your hands, but was indeed swayed from the point to look down on Caesar. Friends, I am with you all and love you all upon this hope that shall give me reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. He's like, I need you to explain to me why you chose to do this. He's like, because I was Caesar's friend and it feels wrong to be on your side. All right. And Brutus says, oh, else this were a savage spectacle. He's like, we need to explain this or else this is just going to look bad. He's like, our reasons are so full of pride that you were Antony, the son of Caesar. You should be satisfied. He's like, our reasons are so good that even you, somebody who is so loyal to Caesar, will understand. And Antony says, that is all that I seek. And I am moreover the suitor that I may produce his body to the marketplace, and in the pulpit, as becomes a friend, speak in the order of the funeral. So Antony would like to take Caesar's corpse into the marketplace and provide a eulogy, which is a totally normal thing for funerals. And Brutus says, you shall, Mark Antony. And then Cassius is like, no, I don't like this. Brutus, a word with you. Aside to Brutus, you know not what you do. Do not consent that Antony speak at his funeral. Know how much the people may be moved by that which he will utter. He's like, I don't agree with this choice here. He's like, Antony could sway the people against us, and I don't want that to happen. And Brutus says aside to Cassius, by your pardon, I will myself to the pulpit first. Okay, he's like, I will take care of this first and speak first so that the people know that what we did was the right thing. He speaks, and what Antony shall speak I will protest, for he speaks by leave and by permission, and that we are content that Caesar shall have all true rights and lawful ceremonies, if it shall advantage more than do us wrong. He's like, we're going to give Caesar everything he requires in death, and we're gonna let Antony speak, but I will speak first so that they know what I am about, and so that they won't turn against us. And Cassius says aside to Brutus, I know not what may fall, but I like it. And he's like, okay, but I don't agree with your choice. All right. Mark Antony, here, take you Caesar's body. You shall not in funeral speech blame us, but speak all the good you can devise of Caesar, and say you do it by our permission. He's like, okay, so you're going to go, you can give a eulogy for your friend, okay? And then I'm right here. You can give a eulogy for your friend, okay? That's fine. But you are not allowed to talk ill of us, and you can only talk about the good things of Caesar. You can't speak against us. All right. Else you shall not have any hand at all about his funeral. So he's like, if you speak poorly against us, I will remove your ability to speak at this funeral. And you shall speak in the same pulpit whereto I am going after my speech is ending. So he's like, you're going to talk after me. All right. Antony says, be it so, I do desire no more. Brutus says, prepare the body then and follow us. And then all but Antony leave. And this is a really interesting part on my end, because Antony is going to speak to just us, and he's going to tell us kind of where he really sits in all of this. All right, so Antony says, oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth. He's speaking to dead Caesar here, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. He's like, forgive me for being kind to them. Thou art the ruins of the noblest man that ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hand that shed his costly blood. So, bad things to those who shed you, who killed you. Over thy wounds now I do prophesy, which like dumb mouths do ope their ruby lips, to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and fierce civil strife shall cumber all parts of Italy. He's like, war is going to happen because of their choice. Okay? And the mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with their hands of war, all pity choked with custom of fell deeds, and Caesar's spirit, ranging for revenge, with 8 by his side, and hot from hell, shall in these confines with monarch's voice cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed smell above the earth, with carrion men groaning for burial. He's like, their choice will lead us to war, and people will die. He's like, I don't agree with their choice. He's like, I always like it when Antony goes around and he says out loud who killed Caesar. It's almost like he's making a list. Who does he need to kill for revenge for his friend? All right, and you can definitely answer number 8 here. Enter Octavius' servant. So Octavius Caesar or Octavius Brutus, one of them is going to be coming in who's also a general, and he's going to side with Antony on this. And Antony recognizes him immediately. He says, "You serve Octavius Caesar, do you not?" And the servant says, "I do, Mark Antony." And Antony says, "Caesar did right for him to come to Rome." So Caesar had written for this guy to show up. And servant says, "He did receive his letters and is coming." Okay. And so he's going to be there soon. And bid me say to you by the word of mouth, O Caesar. Antony, thy heart is big. Get thee apart and weep. Passion I see is catching for mine eyes, seeing those beads of sorrow stand in thine begin to water. Is thy master coming? He's like, I see that you're upset, and because you are upset, I am also upset. And the servant says, he lies tonight within 7 leagues of Rome. He's like, he's very close. And then so Octavius is going to come and join Antony. And Antony says, post back with speed and tell him what hath chanced. Here is a morning Rome, a dangerous Rome. Mikey, shh. This is serious. No Rome safety for Octavius yet. Hie hence and tell him so. Yet stay a while. Thou shalt not be back till borne this corpse into the marketplace. There shall I try in my oration how the people take to the cruel issue of these bloody men, according to that which shall discourse to young Octavius the state of things. Lend me your hand. And they exit. So Antony plans on speaking against the conspirators, but Maggie, shh, Maggie, stop. But he's going to do it really subtly. The fact that Brutus chooses to speak first is a really interesting choice, because then he can't speak against Antony, which is an interesting way of thinking about it. All right, so tomorrow we're going to do a live stream, and we're going to be reading the next scene together, which is one of probably the most famous scenes of all of Caesar, in which each man will give their eulogy over Caesar, and we'll just see how that goes, because I can tell you right now it doesn't go well. All right, so I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.